On the news, court declines to dismiss terrorism charge against Edison AE, Chief of Staff to Rivers State Governor. NAVD begins clampdown on production of alcohol in sachets and glass bottles between 200 milliliters. And CSOs urge ECOWAS to lift sanctions on Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinpolie. Justice Mobolaji Olajuwon of the Federal High Court in Abuja has rejected the plea to dismiss terrorism charges against Edison AE, Chief of Staff to the Rivers State Governor. AE, who was formerly the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, sought the dismissal on various grounds, claiming lack of jurisdiction and asserting that he had not been indicted by the police for any offense. Justice Olajuwon upheld the submission of the Inspector General of Police Counsel, Simon Locke, arguing that AE lacked the legal standing to request dismissal until he appeared in court to enter a plea for the terrorism charges. AE's application was contested on the basis that he had not appeared in court to take his plea as required by law. Justice Olajuwon dismissed the former Speaker's request, emphasizing that the charges sheet indicated AE was still at large and not listed, and therefore he must either surrender to the police or appear in court to qualify for any application. And in response to the federal government's allocation of 1.3 trillion naira in its 2024 fiscal year budget to the health sector, Dr. Injimanze, chairman of Chidcon Medical Center in Owerri, Imo State, has emphasized the need for a better approach to assessing the national health budget. Dr. Injimanze proposed enhancing access to capital for the private sector by establishing a bank offering loan at a single-digit interest rate. While acknowledging the part of the allocated 4.6%, he cautioned that even larger resources allocated for health should be judiciously spent, expressing concerns about the efficacy of current budget utilization in the sector.
The health budget, you know that the major player in health services is the private arm. So in a state like Imo State, you have almost 75% is in the private sector. So when you are calculating the total budget in health, you have to take into account what is being spent in the private sector. Yeah. So this is just one segment. What the federal government is a minor player in health, unfortunately so, especially in the therapeutic arm. The budget should be targeted because there are three arms of medicine or health to say. One arm is the therapeutic arm, that's where you go to hospital and receive healthcare. The other arm is the research arm, whereby it turns out scientific work in health. And the third arm is the preventing arm, which the NCDC plays a role. So these three arms must be funded. Usually, government spends money, majority of the funds, in research and prevention of diseases. In the therapeutic arm is predominantly the private sector. What government should do here is to provide access to capital. And for years, we have been talking about the health bank. So there will be a bank which gives out loans with single-digit interest rates. So you might get a loan for development of a hospital or health facility with about 5% interest rate. And that's the role of government in driving this. So the 4.6% might still have an impact, even though it's grossly inadequate, but it has to be wisely spent.
Civil society groups, including the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center (CISLAC), has voiced profound concerns regarding the decision made by Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso to withdraw from the Economic Community of West African States (ECOWAS). During a press briefing held in Abuja, representatives from the civil society organizations permanently condemned the shift towards military rule in these nations. Furthermore, the group passionately advocated for the reconsideration of sanctions imposed on the Republic of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. They emphasized the importance of avoiding the potential disintegration of a community that has achieved remarkable milestones in areas such as peacekeeping, free mobility, trade enhancement, and infrastructural development.
It is important and imperative to recall the commitment of the member states not to attack one another through non-aggression treaty signed in 1976. Attack may not only be in form of military engagement, even the bullying, the sanction, it is all seen as an attack, because when women and children have been denied access to medicine, have been denied access to electricity, have been denied access to other commodities, that is also an attack. And we are calling on ECOWAS as a way of creating this peaceful dialogue and restoration of democratic order in this country. They should quickly remove all these sanctions.
Statistically, globally, you see that these countries face very high incidences of poverty, high incidences of terrorism, high incidences of climate, challenged and environmental issues, food insecurity and all that. So the question is, how will they begin to build? Yes, with the right kind of leadership, they can, but a lot has happened over the years that, we cannot stand up and just begin to remodel the region.
We in the transition monitoring group would like to insist in the collaboration of these countries, coming back to be a one united front. And we also like the ECOWAS to please ensure that the needs of these countries be met in the security aspect, in the political aspect, in the aid that all these countries will need to run and become a united front.
As the anticipation for the upcoming national population enhancing census later in the year grows, the commendable leadership qualities of Nasir Issa Kwara, the chairman of the National Population Commission (NPC), have not escaped notice. A noteworthy development comes as over 100 civil society groups unified under the Coalition of Civil Society Groups for Transparency and Accountability have collectively expressed their vote of confidence in the leadership of the NPC. Speaking on behalf of the coalition, Obina Francis urged Nigerians to rally around the National Population Commission. In doing so, he conveyed assurance that the upcoming census will be conducted with utmost credibility.
The leadership of the National Population Commission has displayed an unparalleled commitment, which is a functional prerequisite in our quest for sustainable growth and development. The Coalition of Civil Society Groups for Transparency and Accountability is using this medium to pass a vote of confidence on the leadership of the National Population Commission for rising to the occasion in its preparedness for the forthcoming National Population Census. We also call on other critical stakeholders in the country to see the success of the National Population Census as a collective endeavor that does not rest on the shoulders of the National Population Commission alone, but require a collective action involving all and sundry. The Coalition of Civil Society Groups for Transparency and Accountability wishes to urge the leadership of the National Population Commission to remain focused on its policies, plans, and strategies towards the success of the national census. With the plans and initiatives on ground, Nigerians should expect a credible census that will help in addressing the myriads of challenges in the country.
As part of his effort to combat corruption in the country, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has unveiled an Interfaith Anti-Corruption Preaching Teaching Manual. Speaking at the launch of the Interfaith Anti-Corruption Preaching Teaching Manual tagged Youth, Religion and the Fight Against Corruption, Vice President Kashim Shettima expressed the government's determination to give corruption hard tackles. On his part, Sultan of Sokoto and Chairman Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Saad Abubakar, promised to support the EFCC in its fight, adding that the fight against corruption is a fight for all.
15 years ago, we were talking about these corruption cases in our country in Nigeria. How much have things changed in fight against corruption, which we know is the worst evil that can befall any country. Because people lost their lives and will lose their lives simply because of corruption. So we ask ourselves, how much have we really fought corruption? Because we know the sophistication of the financial crimes now, they have gone out of this world. So many Yahoo boys, so many corruption cases by experts that somebody will be very difficult, it will be very difficult somebody for chairman or the EFCC to trace some of them. So we have to ask ourselves, with this sophistication, what can we really do? Today we are here at the invitation of the EFCC chairman, who is just barely about 100 days in office, but has picked a lot of things to do with the short time which we commend him, and we want to assure you, Olu, we will support you 100%.
I extend my commendation to the EFCC chairman for the insightful conception of the Proud Risk Assessment Project tailored for MDS. As custodians of public trust, I urge all heads of MDS to collaborate with the EFCC in this crucial effort. The goal is clear: to streamline governance processes, fortify against malfeasance, and ensure the judicious use of government resources for the benefit of our citizens.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAVD, has taken firm action against the production of alcohol in sachets, small volume PET, and glass bottles below 200 milliliters. The prohibition extends specifically to alcoholic drinks in sachet and small volume PET in glass bottles containing alcohol level exceeding 30% by volume. This ban was instituted by NAVD based on the recommendations of a high-powered committee comprising the Federal Ministry of Health, NAVD, and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Kunle Ojo, the Assistant Director of Investigation and Enforcement Directorate at NAVD, emphasized the agency's commitment to curbing the menace of alcohol abuse in the country, particularly among adolescents below the age of 18.
This is where they produce alcoholic drinks. And from what we have found here today, we discovered that Unifans is still producing 100 mil. And the window period for 100 mil production is over. As you can see, from January 2024, the agency said nobody should produce 100 mil. But to our greatest surprise, on coming to Unifans, we found out that we still have 100 mil being produced. And the agency wants to discourage 100 mil in circulation because of the abuse. That's why we're here. And from the document we found here, actually the product is, the company is registered by NAVD, and the pack size register for this company is, we have 200 mil, we have 350, 500, and 750. 100 mil is not registered. That's why we're here. That's the violation we have seen so far as this company is concerned. Definitely there's a sanction for, the administrative sanction will be given to him in the office. As far as we're here, we're going to seal up the production, the factory, and we make sure that we invite him to office for further regulatory action.
The alleged involvement of Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala in activities such as crude oil theft, contract splitting, procurement fraud and corruption has generated an ongoing wave of criticism. The spotlight on the Naval Chief intensified following a publication by People's Gazette dated January 26, 2024. Despite the negative publicity, human rights attorney Osuagu Ugochukwu has dismissed and faulted the publication, citing a lack of merit. According to Ugochukwu, there is no substantiated evidence to support the allegations that the naval boss accepted over $170 million in bribe while awarded contract is claimed. He further clarified that the Nigerian Navy does not have the authority to award oil-related contracts.
It's of record that Nigeria's crude oil output rose to an all-time high of 1.35 billion barrels per day in September 2023 under the leadership of the current Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, as the country pumped its highest volume of crude oil so far in 2023. It was in September 2023 that we got up to 1.35 million barrels per day. Previously, we were doing 1.1, 1.26, 1.27, But when the Azul Power Office in July, in September we got 1.35 million barrels per day. So, do you want to, okay, let's go by the statistics. In the leadership of a particular Chief of Naval Staff, you are moving from 1.1 to 1.35 million barrels per day. So, can you not say that there is crude oil theft by them? It shows that they have improving. Now, in December 2023, under the same leadership of the current Chief of Naval Staff, the crude oil output rose to 1.41 million barrels per day.
The reported arbitrary arrest and illegal detention of Lagos businessman Said Musa Doluwa has sparked widespread condemnation from the Nigerian public. Said has been in police custody since January 21, 2024, and efforts to secure his release or initiate legal proceedings have reportedly proven unsuccessful. Speaking to journalist Yakubu Eleto, Said's legal counsel expressed concerns over the prolonged detention of his client without clear legal proceedings and highlighted the challenges faced in securing Said's release. Furthermore, Eleto issued a warning against what he alleged to be continuous trespassing and attempt to influence the situation, potentially aiming to dispossess the embattled businessman of his property.
On the 23rd of January, I wrote to the office of the IG to release Mr. Said. What is his offense? I challenge the police CPRO to come out. I challenge him to come out and explain to the public why Mr. Said is still being detained. I challenge the police. I challenge Mr. Omojobi to come out and tell the public. They have been coming out to parade people and say that they are kidnappers. They have paraded them, come and let them parade him and tell the public his offenses. I challenge them. Once again, this is wicked. It's wicked. This is purely a case of what? Inhumanity of man to man.
News Now will now go on a short break, but still to come, Babajide Sanwo-Olu secures procured additional rolling stocks for the Blue Line and Red Line rail operations from China. Details of the story right after this break. Welcome back. Here's a quick recap of our headline stories. Justice Mobolaji Olajuwon of the Federal High Court in Abuja has rejected the plea to dismiss terrorism charges against Edison AE, Chief of Staff to the Rivers State Governor. Justice Olajuwon upheld the submission of the Inspector General of Police Counsel Simon Locke, arguing that AE lacked the legal standing to request dismissal until he appeared in court to enter a plea for the terrorism charges. We also told you that the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAVD) has taken firm action against the production of alcohol in sachet, small volume PET, and glass bottles below 200 milliliters. This ban was instituted by NAVD based on the recommendations of a high-powered committee comprising the Federal Ministry of Health, NAVD, and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Now, in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Limeless World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. It's now time for business news, and Okpayemi Owosheni has the latest. Okpayemi, over to you.
Thank you, Tamilore. Hello and welcome to Business News. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has said his administration has procured additional rolling stocks for the Blue Line and Red Line rail operations to bring more relief to millions of Lagos residents. Speaking during a high-level meeting of Lagos State government officials with the President and management of the China Civil Engineering Construction Company at its headquarters in Beijing, China on Thursday, Sanwo-Olu reiterated his administration's commitment to the completion of the second phase of the Blue Line rail project and flag off of the commercial operations of the Red Line rail project. He said the Lagos State team, through its partners, were able to secure an agreement for the additional rolling stocks for the Blue Line and Red Line rail lines to be ready within a year and delivered before the end of the year, as against the normal 2-year period that it takes for the construction company to build the coaches.
Own bridge overhead components of the Red Line so that we can have a rail system that will not have any incident of traffic or any interaction with the vehicles or with passengers, and we can wall off and ensure that it's a very, very safe, rail corridor. Because my fear is that there's a lot of, interactions, on the Red Line. So we need to be assured that, we operate, a rail corridor that is very, very safe from passengers, from citizens, and from vehicular movement. So both of us still need to work, on that. We are also advancing conversation on the right-of-way and the corridor for the phase 2 of the Red Line, which will take it, based on what we're seeing, to the connection of the Blue Line. That makes it a lot more functional, because what it means is that passengers can hop in and hop off between the Red Line and the Blue Line when that phase 2, is completed. So the phase 1, like I said, is historic for us. It started within our administration, and we're going to be completing it by the grace of God. In fact, we've completed it. We're going to put it to operation within this administration. And I hope that either yourself, Mr. President, or Michael attend, with the President.
On business, despite clarification from experts on the viability of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to receive crude oil sale remittances from Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPCL, some stakeholders have described the arrangement as opaque, saying the purported presidential directive as a violation of the legal status of the National Oil Company. CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso last week disclosed that the collaboration with the Ministry of Finance and the NNPCL is to ensure that all foreign inflows are returned to the CBN. Financial expert Kalu Aja says the move is essential to monitor the activities of the NNPCL and ensure transparency in the operations of the company. Aja added the move will create more funds for the CBN and subsequently address the problems of scarce forests in the country.
The operation of the NNPC are now going to be, should we say, superseded or approved by the Central Bank of Nigeria. It's a fair point. But what expenses do they want to make? If they want to make a huge project that's going to cost billions of dollars, of course, they still would have gone to the president or the board of NNPC to get that approved. So they can't just write a check and make that payment. If they want to buy lunch, they have their petty cash or their operational allowance that they can use. I think we're talking about oil sales here. You know, when you sell crude oil, the money should flow according to the Constitution to one of the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation. You should go there and sit there. Then you then get disbursements from there. It's not just NNPC, NPA, even the CBN, all this federation, all these MDAs do not pay or remit 100% to the Consolidated Revenue Fund. But that's what the Constitution says. So in a way, the president himself might be putting himself in the box now, right? We know that today, subsidy is being paid today. Who is paying it, we don't know. So if you then allow the central bank or the NNPC to make payments 100% to the CBN, then we will see who is making those payments for subsidies, because there's going to be transparency across the board. So yes, some operations might take longer, but if it's a good and approved operation from the NNPC, it will be approved. So this is to say, let's get all the funds in, let's see what you actually make, then you can go ahead and request to spend. And I think it's just for transparency and accountability.
We'll go on a break and be back with stock market reports. The Nigerian equities market maintained its northward position on the last weekday of trading, increasing by 1.57%. The market breadth also ended on a positive note, with 61 gainers against 12 losers. Now, Transcorp Nigeria led the gainers with a 10% share price appreciation, closing at 15 naira 40 kobo, followed closely by Starline, which closed at 6 naira 60 kobo. Now, at the end of the last weekday of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange NGX, a total of 943 million volumes of shares were exchanged in 11,512 deals, corresponding to a market value of over 12 billion, where 23 billion were traded. Now, compared with the previous NGX trading day, today's data shows 10% improvement in volume, 93% improvement in turnover, but 10% decline in deals. Now, let's take a look at our select global stock. Well, reverse is the case for our select global stock, as the UK FTSE and US Dow Jones maintained a bearish trade at 0.12% and 0.12%, leaving just Japan's Nikkei in the bulls at 0.41%. Well, that's it on both business and stock market reports. Back to you, Tamilore, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Okpayemi. On the foreign scene, former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak, convicted in multi-billion-dollar scandal, might see an early release by 2028 as his 12-year jail sentence has been halved. The pardon board, chaired by Malaysia's king, announced the reduction without providing reason, prompting calls for critique from the government to clarify its stance. The decision was one of the final acts of the outgoing King Al Sultan Abdullah, who completed his 5-year term under Malaysia's rotational monarchy system. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim acknowledged the king's decision, emphasizing that the pardons process is beyond the Prime Minister or the government, and other corruption trials against Najib will proceed. The Pardons Board also decreased fines imposed on Najib and extended an additional year to his reduced jail term if the fine remains unpaid. And finally, on sport, Nigerian striker Asisat Oshoala has made a significant move from Barcelona to join the National Women's Soccer League expansion team Bay FC, as confirmed by both clubs on Thursday. The 29-year-old has signed a contract with the San Francisco Bay Area-based team through 2026, including an option to extend for the 2027 season. Oshoala is 6-time African Player of the Year, occupying an international roster spot. Bay FC's general manager Lucy Rich Houston has praised the excitement about the addition of Oshoala and emphasizing a quality experience and winning track record. With 107 goals in 149 appearances, Oshoala stands as Barcelona's fourth highest goal scorer in history. Her achievements include being nominated for the Ballon d'Or Feminine twice. And that concludes the News Now Bulletin. For more update on AFCON matches, visit the dedicated AFCON link on our website at tv360nigeria.com. Thank you for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkwole.